See, in my opinion, dopamine is very important. It's a really, really important hormone. In on social media, you can people are saying dopamine is very bad hormone. Dopamine is a very shittiest hormone. But I would say, bro, dopamine is not the shittiest hormone. You are using that hormone in a very shittiest way. Okay, people are talking about dopamine is very bakwas. Ye wo, bro. Why people are demonizing dopamine? Okay, you should demonize the task, the bad task from where you are getting dopamine. See, what is dopamine? First of all, I want to say, I want to clear it out. What is dopamine? Dopamine is a happy hormone which releases in your brain when you do something, your favorite work, when you do your favorite work, like watching porn and all that kind of stuff, playing cricket, or talking to a girl. It releases, your brain releases happy hormone called dopamine. And I don't know, there is one also, there is also one hormone, I don't know its name. But dopamine, two major hormone releases which gives you happiness. Okay, but people are demonizing dopamine like, bro, it is shittiest hormone. Dopamine is very shit. Dopamine, you don't have to depend on dopamine. But I would say, because of dopamine you are still alive. Okay, because of dopamine you are still alive. People who do suicide, people are who are in depression. Why they do suicide, why they are in depression? Because of the situation, their brain is not able to produce dopamine, happy hormones. Have you noticed, sometimes you get very very sad, and after doing some your favorite activities, you like, तुम्हारा mood पूरा change हो जाता है, your mood gets switched. Why it's happened? Because because your brain release happy hormones called dopamine, which is very important. Okay, in order to survive, because dopamine is made for surviving. Why dopamine is made for surviving? When you get dopamine, okay, happy hormone, it motivates you to go and do things. It motivates you. Okay, it motivates you. When you get motivated, which means you got a spike of dopamine inside your brain. Okay, it spiked up in your brain. When you get motivated, it means you have spiked up, you got a spike of dopamine. Okay, that's the beautiful hormone, that's the beautiful hormone. But what's the most important point is, where are you getting dopamine from good sources or cheap sources? What are cheap sources? I would say first one is watching porn, watching 18 plus web series. Okay, so called 18, you know who I'm, तुम्हें पता है मैं किस बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ. And smoking, drinking alcohols, and doing bad stuff, scrolling हो गया. Okay, these things gives you dopamine. Those are cheap dopamine. Okay, your brain does not know. Your brain only knows how to see. I know I'm making it very complicated, but see what I want to say, that dopamine is a very important hormone. Don't ignore it. Okay, don't demonize it. But I would say, start trying to get dopamine from good sources. Going to the gym, working in your favorite, working on your favorite project, or working on your favorite thing, working out, going for a run, talking to a girl, which also gives you dopamine. And don't be that sigma guy, I won't talk to a girl. No, don't be that stupid guy. Okay, working on your future goals, working on your goals. Okay, this there are so many things which gives you a lot of dopamine. Okay, so many good sources are there. Okay, but most of them people choose. Why most of the people chooses cheap dopamine sources? Because cheap dopamine sources produces more dopamine in comparison with, good sources of dopamine. Okay, when you do some cheap things like watching porn, which gives you a lot of dopamine, watching reels, watching YouTube videos endlessly, which gives you lot and lot of dopamine, in comparison with working out in gym, making videos, working on your stuff, working on your projects. learning book or talking to a girl, okay, it produces very less amount of dopamine in comparison with cheap sources. Okay, so that's the most important point. And have you heard this line also? Building good habit is really more difficult than building a bad habit. Once you started doing bad habit called, well, let's suppose if you started watching porn, it will, your brain will adapt it very very quickly, as in comparison with studying, as comparison with doing any good things, good sources, good habit. Why? Because when your brain produces dopamine, your when you do some task and you get a lot of dopamine, your brain thinks that your brain thinks like that, this work is very important, this work is really really important, I want to work, do this work. Okay, so I want to do this work again because it's really important. Your brain does not know that this work is very cheap work. Your brain thinks like that ki, I want to do this work, I will do this work again and again. Your brain start to gives you urges that do this again, do this again, do this again. And inside your brain, when you do things repetitively, when you do some things, your you stick to the why, मेरे को पता है, I'm making it very complicated, but when you do some things repetitively, your brain start to build that habit. Okay, so once you started taking dopamine from cheap sources, your brain will get trained to take dopamine from cheap sources. And if you go for a good sources which produces less amount of dopamine, you won't be able to enjoy your life. You won't. इसके लिए तो सिगरेट छोड़ना इतना डिफिकल्ट है. You, because you don't get that dopamine, and dopamine is really important. When you get dopamine, your brain thinks कि bro, this task is really important, I want to do it again. Okay, so stop, or I would say don't stop quickly. Just try to do some good stuffs also. If you're smoking a cigarette, try to, I would say, try to work on your lungs. If you're smoking a cigarette, let's suppose if you're smoking one cigarette a day, I don't think so you are smoking one cigarette a day. Let's suppose you are smoking two cigarettes a day. And in comparison with, do some good thing like running, like doing gym, or like doing some push-ups, pull-ups. Okay, or I would say, if you are watching porn, if you're watching porn, so which is very bad thing, so try to talk with a girl. Okay, which gives you happiness, which gives you a sense of relief. Okay, once you started to doing good things, I think so after some time you will be able to replace that good thing with bad thing. I know it's really getting complicated. Let me translate in Hindi. अगर आपने एक बार बुरे हैबिट के साथ साथ अच्छे हैबिट शुरू कर दी, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है लॉन्ग टर्म में आप आराम से अपनी बुरी हैबिट्स को रिप्लेस कर पाओगे. क्यों? क्योंकि आपने अच्छी हैबिट अपनाई है, तो आपका दिमाग उन अच्छी हैबिटों को बिल्ड करने में लग जाएगा, और ऑटोमेटिकली धीरे धीरे आपकी बुरी आदतें छूटती जाएगी. यू कैन ट्राई दिस थिंग, बिकॉज मेरे दिमाग में चीज़ आई, मैंने बोल दी. यू कैन ट्राई दिस थिंग. खुद से देखो भाई, ठीक है, खुद से देखो. मैं तो बोलूँगा भाई, यू हैव टू एक्सपेरिमेंट on your own self a lot. Then you will be able to understand what works for me and what does not work for me. I don't know, इंग्लिश मेरी बहुत बकवास है.